Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Brush. We call imagination. Understand? Understand? Imagine. Imaginate. You understand? Imagine.
Give us the tools, and we will finish the job.
Welcome to the Academy of Underdawgs podcast, a place where a community is being built. A community of underdogs who are striving to do better and be better. Here's your host, Dev Dog.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Academy. I'm Dev Dog, and today is a very special episode for me because it is with one of my very best friends. She's an old roommate, and she's also now the wife of one of my other very best friends. So please help me welcome Alyssa Lajoie. What's up, Alyssa?
Hey.
How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I miss you.
Yeah, I miss you too. I haven't seen you guys since the wedding, which was last year.
Yeah, last January.
Last January. That was fun. I got to give a speech and I started to cry a little bit.
Yeah, that's how close we are. You're one of like 6 friends that came to our wedding. 5 friends.
I feel very special.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun being roomies.
We did. What a time. Me and 5 guys. 5 guys?
Yeah, it was you, me, and then Sebastian. I mean, there's a lot of people in and out, but yeah, 5 dudes.
Belle, Sean, and me. So yeah, there are 4 of us. Our house was not clean.
It was in our earlier days, I guess.
It was. Yeah, good times.
Good times. Well, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate you being willing to come in and tell this story about yourself, because it's not the easiest thing to do, to talk about ourselves, I think, at least in my experience of doing this podcast. Like, if anybody's seen the first 2, it was about myself, and that was super tough. Just, I mean, reminiscing, and I go into depth on what I went through and stuff, and it was weird.
It's vulnerable. Yeah.
Yeah. So we came about this the other night whenever you and Sean FaceTimed me. Mm-hmm. And I told you that I started a podcast, and we were talking about some stuff, and you said that you would be down to come on and be a guest. So welcome to the Academy, and welcome to being an official underdog.
Yes.
Is List Dog okay with you?
Yeah, great. I feel like my brother has called me List Dog before, so sounds
Perfect.
familiar.
Perfect. So before we dive into the subject, why don't we talk about you for a minute? Who are you, Alyssa? Like, how old are you? Where you come from? Where you live? Mm-hmm. All that kind of stuff.
I'm Alyssa Lajoie, previously Alyssa Adams, Alyssa B. Adams. And
what does B stand for?
Brooke.
Alyssa Brooke Adams, now Lajoie.
Alyssa Brooke Lajoie now, officially, legally. I actually just changed my name like 2 months ago.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm 33 years old. I am from Georgia, but I've hopped around the last 7 years or so. And the last 3.5 I've been in Asheville, North Carolina. And I'm a massage therapist and a certified neuromuscular therapist, which is like a fancy way of saying I do sports massage. And yeah, I have my husband Sean and my dog Hazel, and we just live our life here in the mountains, but we're relocating in 2 weeks to Georgia. So going back to where I originally came from, which will be a transition, but yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Nice. You mentioned a dog, Hazel. I knew that, but what kind of dog is she?
She's a yellow lab, and we think mixed with Weimaraner.
Weimaraner?
Weimaraner, yeah. Yeah.
So obviously, my dog Anna, she's also a part lab, Great Pyrenees. So we both got labs. How crazy is that?
When you brought Anna home, I was there when she was just like a little pup.
I know. She'll probably break in here shortly, and she's not so little anymore. But
No,
had that
is
picture.
Then her whole body. You got her. Her head's bigger than her whole body was. She's so big.
I know. Now she's so big that her head looks small on her.
I know. She's so big. Hazel's not big. She'll probably walk in too at some point, her and Sean. And she's like a little shorty. She's got short little legs. She's a good girl.
They're all good boys and good girls.
Yeah.
What do you guys like to do for fun?
Well, we are mountain people. We love being in the mountains, going outside. I love to ski, and I learned skiing when I lived in Steamboat, and it's become something I love to do every winter now. I'm really good at skiing in the South, but I'm not, because it's nothing compared to Colorado, East Coast skiing. So
True.
I like in Colorado, but I like it here more because I'm good here. So I like to ski. What else do I like to do? I like to write. Kind of a nerd. I like to write and read. I'm a big introvert. So
what do you like to write about?
I'm actually currently writing a spoken word that I'm gonna push myself to go perform, out at a bar or something, do like slam poetry. So I'm working on, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Now that I've said it.
Yeah, now that you said it, you have to do it.
I know. That's good. I need to do it. I need to do it.
Are you like good at speaking in public, or have you ever done it before? Oh, here she is. Sorry, everyone.
Oh,
Hi.
no. Hi. Let me see your head.
Come here. Bring your head up here. Oh,
no.
There she is.
She's a big girl.
She's such a big girl. Hi, princess.
She's your auntie. I still am.
Yes, you still are.
Yeah.
So what you're writing a spoken word? What, like, is it about like personal stuff? Like,
kind of. I'm writing about, it's kind of about like your inner child. That's something I've like reconnected with recently. So I'm going to try and base it around that. It's going to be deep, but sweet and hopefully touching. But yeah.
I'm sure it'll be touching.
Yeah, it will be touching.
You're a very sentimental lady.
Thank you. I like to think so too. You are too. I was actually talking to my mom about you today. I told her I was doing this, and she remembers you from the wedding. She's like, he's such a nice boy.
Oh, I'm such a nice boy. I remember one thing specifically that I told her. This is obviously, there was a lot of alcohol involved during that whole spiel. But I remember we were sitting in Timber and Torch, And we were talking about like professions and stuff like that, or what we wanted to do. And I was like, I remember I said, I figured it out that I don't really want to do anything. And but my mind has like shifted a little bit, and by not do anything, I think that I meant like not work for somebody else. But I mean, I could never see myself not doing anything.
Yeah.
Like I could go crazy for 15 minutes if I don't have something to do.
But that's like, I mean, that's the goal, is to not work your life away. So I mean, that makes sense. You said that to my mom.
Yeah.
What did she say?
She just kind of smiled and shook her head or nodded her head.
She's probably used to stuff like that with me and my brother. Like, yep, makes sense.
Yeah, we just have the same kind of mindset. Like we don't want to go to work for, I mean, like we're gonna have to work, but I feel like we have the same kind of idea. Like we like you have your own company, right? Or like you're working for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we don't want to work for somebody else. We want to make money for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And you want to have more time to not be working is the goal.
Exactly. More time to do the fun things.
Yeah. Exactly.
Cool. Well, let's kind of dive into it here. So what did you want to talk about? You said that you were willing to come on, and what are you doing right now that you wanted to talk about?
I think like when you mentioned to me that you were doing a podcast on mental health, I feel like that's been like the main focus for me of the last year and a half, has been healing my mental health. And so I really wanted to be a part of that conversation. And for me specifically, I struggle with anxiety. So yeah, just being a part of any conversation where you can kind of bring that to the surface, because I know a lot of people deal with that as well. And I've been on my own personal journey with it. I've been in therapy the last year and a half and have found a lot of healing in that. So yeah, I'm willing to open up about that as much as you want.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Well, let's talk about therapy. You said you've been going for a year and a half. What made you take the leap into therapy? Like finally be like, all right, I've had enough of whatever the fuck is going on in this brain of mine.
Yeah.
I need somebody to talk to about it. Like what made you take that jump?
So I didn't really ever struggle with anxiety. Looking back, I realize I did. I was kind of always in survival mode. But I would say the pandemic started it, because Sean and I moved to Asheville. We didn't know anybody. And then we shut down. And so I was alone really for the first time in my life, just like every day alone with myself. And that
Sean was working.
Sean was working. I was not able to find a job before everything shut down. So I think that brought up a lot of stuff for me and revealed a lot. I have a family member, which I can open up about that because he's very open about it. But my brother struggles. He struggled the last like 15 years on and off with drug addiction. And so I've been a pretty intimate witness to that. And the last couple of years, it got pretty bad. And I didn't realize what was happening, but now I have the language for it, but my nervous system kind of couldn't differentiate between, oh, this is just a shitty circumstance and somebody's going to die. Because when you're kind of in a space with someone with a drug addiction, you're always expecting death, as morbid as that. So my body just kind of got to this place where I was very isolated. I was always thinking I was about to lose someone I love. And my body was just in fight or flight, like panic mode all the time. And so it got to a point where I went to see a doctor, and she diagnosed me with extreme anxiety disorder. And it was the first time I was like, oh, this isn't normal. Like, I thought everybody experienced all these things. And she's like, no, honey, this is not normal. And I would suggest maybe looking into some solutions. So
real quick, what was your brother addicted to?
He's had an opioid addiction, but he was doing fentanyl. He's been clean. I will say he's been clean a year and a half, and he's doing really well. But
good for him.
Yeah, I'm really proud of him. But it definitely, after years of that, kind of took a toll on me as well. And yeah, just kind of always waiting for the shoe to drop. So that kind of bled into every part of my life, and my anxiety just kind of latched onto that. So that's where I was at when I started therapy. I really felt like I needed a space for me, because when you're dealing with that and it's your loved one, it's not always you're focused on the sick member of your family. And so this was the first time it was like it got to be about me and how this had affected me, because clearly it had. So that's what brought me into therapy. But once I got in there, I realized I needed it for many more reasons, but that was the initial catalyst of that.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. Like, even if you're not personally addicted to some sort of drug or anything, and just anything in general, but having a loved one, and then you just kind of think about that a lot.
It is, yeah.
Losing them, and either losing them mentally or losing them physically.
Right.
All that.
You don't realize how much damage that causes to your actual nervous system, because your body picks up on the panic. And so it kind of it can't decipher whether like I said before, a small issue, it's like, oh, I got to protect you from this, as if someone's dying. And so that's where your anxiety just takes over in every situation. So yeah.
I can relate in a lot of ways. I mean, me personally, I was addicted to opioids for probably 4 or 5 years, but I've also had a lot of friends from back home die because of heroin and fentanyl, or else just are now in prison. And my best friend from back home, his life just went down the drain because of heroin and fentanyl.
Yeah.
So that's a tough road to go down, especially for family members.
It is. And when was that experience for you?
That was before I moved to Colorado. Hang on one second. I just need to turn do not disturb on, because I'm getting text messages and I don't know if it's showing up on the screen or not. But that was before I moved to Colorado. That was whenever it started. I moved here when I was 26. This started probably when I was 22 or 23 is whenever I started doing it. And then really, man, that section of my life is like a blur.
Yeah.
Just kind of went by fast. Yeah, I was younger, in my younger 20s. And then I moved here, and I got myself off of it before I moved here.
Was
which I'm
it,
proud of because not a lot of people can do
that's
that.
not even, that's a really hard thing I've realized too, like to get off of any type of addiction and to remain off of it. It's a lot.
Yeah, it was tough. I'm glad that I definitely still have an addictive personality. It's not as bad as it was, but I still drink too much. Like I went from I've been on nicotine for my entire teenage and adult life for the most part. And I just graduated from buying cigarettes and snuff to vapes and nicotine pouches, like these fucking things.
I've heard that
It's from
feels,
one addiction to the other.
does that make you feel nauseous?
What?
The patches?
The patches? I've never tried those before.
Is that gum?
No, they're just like little pouches that you stick in your lip.
Oh,
Pouches, not patches.
pouches.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but anyway, moving on. How is the therapy working out for you? Like, you feel like it's helping?
Yes. I think it's changed my life. I think I was talking to Sean about this because I was so excited to go to therapy, and like I've been wanting it, and he's like, I like dreaded going to therapy. Like he went as a child, and he's like, I felt like I had to go. And I was like, I think I was just really ready. And also I lucked out with my therapist. Have you been to therapy before?
When I was a kid, my mom took me to some sort of therapy because I had like ADHD or something like that.
Same. That was the only
Yeah.
experience before. And well, I was asking because I've heard that you kind of have to date therapists. Like it's rare to find the right fit right away, I guess. And I did. And I just felt like she was the perfect person for me in this situation.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I feel like it's been really good. Have you heard of somatic work before?
No, what's that?
So we do talk therapy, kind of just like processing like this, but we also do somatic experiencing, which soma means the body. And I think a lot of people, I'll speak for myself, with anxiety, you're really good at intellectualizing your thoughts, and you can talk about your thoughts all day long. And you're like, this is exactly how I feel. But sitting with that feeling in your body is hard. So everything stays up here and you don't actually process and release things.
Yeah.
So she kind of guided me in that, which is basically just like feeling your feelings in a safe space. It's very simple, but
And like expressing them.
sometimes, I mean, she'd have me go back to the moment where I'm like, I'd talk about a moment, and then she'd have me go into it and just like sit with the feeling and describe it to her and kind of just be with it. And then before I knew it, it was gone and released and just processed, like metabolized out. So it's really just like, yeah, feeling your feelings, which I guess I didn't do very well.
How is that like different than just like, say you're just in your head all day long, like
Mhm.
thinking all these thoughts and stuff? Like, do you just sit down and like think about this one thought for like a bit and like kind of go over in your head and just get it out?
Yeah, you're kind of like, okay, when I feel like the only time I would feel things is if I had a breakdown, and it would be like heavy and emotional. But day to day, if I'm like ruminating on how someone may have treated me like crap and it just like sticks in my head, I kind of now will just stop and be like, okay, how did that actually make you feel? Are you sad? Be sad. Let's be sad for a second and like pay attention to where it's at in the body And once you do that, you realize that it passes through pretty quickly. And it's very
Like
elementary.
once you process it.
Yeah. But I never did that. And so that was a huge thing for me to learn with her, was to process my feelings in my body. So that's what we do a lot, and just talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I talk so much shit in my head about people, like I have conversations in my head to somebody specifically, whoever like made me upset or something made me feel upset. Like in my head, I'll be like, I don't know, whatever the scenario is. I just have this full on conversation between me and this other person. And I feel like that kind of helps.
Yeah. Yeah, that's your way of processing it. Like without hurting someone's feelings in real life.
Yeah. Like I could say it out loud and then, deal with the consequences afterwards, or I could say it in my head and then just smile afterwards and be like, that was silly.
Yeah, that's awesome. I do that as well. I'll have hypothetical conversations and they'll like talk back to me and I'm like, no. But in real life, it's like they're never going to say that. It's probably not going to happen. But in your conversation, do they talk back to you, or is it just you?
They talk back. It's more me, but it's almost like whenever I make if this were to actually happen, it's almost like whenever I make a script or something for like an episode of a podcast, like whatever they would say is probably not anything of what I thought that they would say. And then my reaction to that answer, I probably would be like, well, yeah, well, whatever, bro.
Yeah, you should be a therapist.
No, thank you. I get enough with listening to myself and everybody at work. No, not really. How long are your sessions for?
They're just an hour every other week, one day a week.
Every other week. So twice a month?
Twice a month, yeah, for an hour.
Is like a therapy session kind of, I mean, you've given us a little bit of a description of it, but like if you watch a movie and there's a therapist there, they act like they like just ask questions like, how do you feel about that? How does that make you feel?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that. Is it kind of like that, or is it more in depth? And are they doing crosswords the entire time whenever they're on their clipboard?
I don't think she's doing crosswords, but when she does write down, I'm like, wait, what are you writing?
What'd you write down? What was that?
Or I'll stop and be like, what did I just say? That like,
it's probably on purpose. They probably write things down just at those, like that one point where they're like, okay, she needs to think about that. And then they just act like they're writing something down. And you're like, what did they write down? What did I say whenever they wrote something down?
Honestly, I have no idea what she writes because I just finished up. Last week was my last session with her since I'm moving. And I thought my last session of therapy, maybe she'll tell me all the notes, like that she's written down, and she didn't. So I have no idea what that, I think it's just, I guess they have to notes.
I mean, I write down notes, mental notes or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I was waiting. I'm like, she's going to read me my notes. But I think, so a typical session, there is a couch, like you come in and you sit on the couch, like facing them. I have laid down on the couch before just to see what it's like. It feels weird. I did it once and she's like, you look really uncomfortable. And I was like, I am. But yeah, it's, she will ask me where do you want to go today? Like, what do you want to talk about? And she will revisit things I've brought up before. Like, she'll talk about, like, say a big thing in my life is my brother. She'll be like, do you want to talk about your brother today? Or do you want to talk about something else? So she'll revisit things. Or if you just want to talk about like petty things, my therapist will go anywhere with me, but she'll let me talk, and then she'll offer perspective on the situation. It's not really advice. It's more, she's able to help me like realize where I was coming from in certain situations, or she tends to focus it back on me. It's not really on other people. And like I said, we do the somatic work. So then we'll do like, things, the body work, and that's a session for us. Sometimes we talk about reality television.
Below Deck.
Vanderpump Rules.
Right on. I've not seen that one.
That means Jenny must not watch it.
We like Below Deck.
I haven't watched Below Deck.
Oh. All right. Well, we've been going for almost a half an hour now. We will take a quick break and be right back.
Okay.
All right. And we're back. Thanks for sticking around. We're just going to continue. Alyssa, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah.
You told us about your therapy and all that stuff. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. Is anxiety something that you have dealt with before in the past or present, or any time that have you had any experiences with anxiety that were really intense that you can remember?
I mean, nowadays I get anxious in ways that a lot of times, because I'm trying to build like businesses and build this other way of living for myself in trading, investing, in this podcast. A lot of times I feel like I'm not doing enough, or I'm not working hard enough, when in reality, like, I bust my ass like all the time. Like, and I have a regular day job, so I go to that, and then I'm like sitting on my computer all the time, writing all the time. So like, I am busting my ass, but I still always have that feeling, and it is kind of an anxious feeling that I should be working harder. But other than that, I mean, nothing that I can specifically remember it like being like a painful hold on me or anything like that. I've always kind of lived a bucket carefree life.
Yeah.
One of my mantras is, worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. And that's just a quote from Van Wilder. But I really grasped that whenever I saw it, however many years ago. And I've always kind of tried to live like that, like worrying for no reason.
Yeah.
In the end, things are going to work out the way that they're going to work out. Yes, there are things that you can do to alter an end result, or change it in some sort of way. But then at some point, there's like, you kind of have to let life just kind of be life. And honestly, that's kind of how I lived most of my life, and why I'm still in the same position that I am, or was, however, when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
so
can't say that I really lived with too much anxiety.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for that. I don't know what it was in my head that allowed me to do that. I think that I was a hopeless romantic growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the ladies and they loved me too, but I may have loved them a little bit more than they loved me sometimes. Like I would write poetry and shit for girls like in elementary school, even in high school.
It was so good.
What? Say it again.
That's why your toast was so good. Your wedding
Yes.
toast. Yes.
Yeah, I actually am a pretty decent writer, and I found that out too from writing all this stuff for this podcast. I can just write and write and write. But I was a bit of a hopeless romantic, and so I got my heart broken a lot. And even more so whenever I was an actual adult. Like I don't know how much of the love that I felt through all my other relationships, how much of it was real. I think that a lot of it was real because I still do care for those people,
Mhm.
but it's not the same kind of love that say me and Jenny have. And but I would take it really hard, and that was like where most of my a lot of my depression and stuff came from, is literally just over girls.
Mm.
And so I just kind of took my heart off of my sleeve and quit giving a fuck for a really long time. And that worked out well for a long time until you become lonely, I guess.
Yeah. Because you build up barriers and walls around you.
Yeah. And it was a lot to break them down.
Yeah. Would you say that they came down because of Jenny?
Yeah.
Feeling safe
And
with somebody?
yeah, definitely feel safe with her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I felt safe with other girlfriends and stuff like that, or stuff like that. I say that so much. Anyway, I sorry, I'm critiquing myself as I'm speaking, because I'm starting to realize the things. Whenever you say things like speak into a video and then watch yourself,
Yeah.
I realize that I say this, a lot of the same things over and over again, and stuff like that. That's one
Nope.
of them.
But you. No one will notice that.
But it's not that I didn't feel safe with those other girls. It's just, I don't know. It's just different.
Yeah.
And yeah, I allowed my walls to come down, and I got a bit harder, I think, from not giving the my not giving a fuck stage. Things just don't affect me as much until something real happens. I mean, like if Jenny left me, then I'd be fucking demolished. But she never would, because she loves me too.
Yeah. Jenny's the best.
She is. She'll be on here at some point, guys. She'll get to meet her.
They'll get to meet Jenny. Jenny's a queen.
Queen.
We love.
So okay, I got a few more questions for you.
That's-
So we talked. Say it again.
That was really beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Mm.
Let's talk a little bit about life before therapy. You said that like during COVID, it kind of got like your anxiety became a lot stronger then. But
Mhm.
did you, like, how long have you been experiencing anxiety? Like when do you remember whenever you first realized that that was a thing, or like you were feeling different or like anxious? Yes.
Yeah. I think during the pandemic is when I realized I had pretty severe anxiety. I had my first panic attack. And I don't know if you've experienced that before, but it's one of those things that you're like, what the hell is happening to me? Have you ever had a panic attack?
Not specifically that I remember. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes things, so it would feel like the world was falling down around you. Like most of the time, it's probably whenever I was in legal trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, that would cause me to have a panic attack for sure.
Even that stuff anymore, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. It'll come to pass. I don't get in trouble anymore, though. I got over that shit.
Good
I'm a
job.
good,
Straight
I'm a good
up,
boy.
you're a good boy now. Yeah, I had probably when I had my first panic attack, and it was awful. And I realized that I wasn't in control of what was going on. And yeah, pre-therapy Alyssa was very performative, I would say. I didn't want people to ever know that I wasn't okay. So I almost like was on like a lot. And I don't know. I feel like that part of me was probably way before the pandemic. That's something that I've recently tried to shed. But I also think that was anxiety. I just didn't realize it.
Yeah.
Just being on and like, I don't know, like if I were to hang out with a bunch of people, I would be more worried if everyone in the room was okay and having a good time rather than like myself. And I had a hard time really just like feeling safe and comfortable in front of people. So I was a little bit performative. And that's something I've realized was because of my anxiety. But I would have never thought that. I would have been like, oh, I'm just so outgoing. And I'm just so fun. But then I'd come home so drained that I was like, this isn't a natural thing. So yeah, I think there was a lot of that.
It's like you were too worried about other people having a good time that you weren't making sure that you were having a good time. So in turn, you were making yourself anxious by trying to make sure these other people were having a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or just that everyone's okay.
And do you think you made yourself look awkward whenever you did that?
I'm sure I did. Like, well, it's funny. I've seen people since I've kind of gone through this, like, I would say healing. And obviously we've all grown over the last couple of years, but that's just the specific way I grew. And I've seen people since, and they're like, you're like way more chill now. And I'm like, was I not chill? No. So yeah, I probably, like, to some people, I probably just looked, annoying, but there's some people that could, but yeah.
I feel like I could think of a few people that do that. Like if we go out to a house party or somebody's having people over, and I mean, maybe if it's the host, it might be a little different, but if it's just somebody else,
Yeah.
being like, let's do something. Let's play beer pong. Let's do these things. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
just chill. It's like,
Yeah.
calm your anxiousness down.
Coming from, you never know. We all are just in like this coping overprotection type place. And like for some people that is being almost like on and in charge of the group. And that's just how they have to let it out. And for me, that was kind of where I was at. Like, I don't know. I was pretty chill around you, I would say. You may not have ever seen that side, but I feel like I had a hard time just kind of relaxing. And like, if I didn't feel like showing up to a place, and like, if I didn't have energy, I wouldn't go somewhere. I couldn't just go with no energy, if that makes sense. Like, yeah. I had to go if I was in a place where I could be like on, I guess. So that's how.
Whenever you say on, what does that mean?
Like, I don't know, that's the best way I can put it, where it's like you can tell someone's not being their like authentic full self. They're being a little bit performative. There's sometimes when I have the energy and I'm definitely like in my element and my energy just comes out, but then there's times when it's very forced. So I guess that would be what I'm saying, is like when it's just like really forced energy.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
you're on one.
That's what that comes from, I think. They're like, she's on one.
Yeah.
Oh, if that makes
sense.
That's kind of where
Yeah,
we're operated
totally.
from. Yeah.
Gotcha. Would you just like worry a lot too? Like in that instance, you would worry that people weren't having a good time, or they weren't like people weren't having fun.
Yeah.
And would that stress you out?
I would take it personal, probably.
Like, I'm not fun. These people don't like me.
Yeah. I was super concerned with how what I came across. Like and if people liked me, that's something I do not care about now.
Yeah. My mom always told me whenever I was younger that I always liked to be liked.
Yeah.
I still do, but I don't care about it as much.
No, you are
unless
one
it's
people because you don't give a crap. Like you are who you are, and you're like, I don't care if you like it or not. And you are just very authentic. And there have been so many times I've been around you where you make me laugh so hard, like just not caring. Like you're not concerned with other people's opinions about you. And that's really cool.
no. If anybody's seen any of my Instagram videos, then you can tell that I don't give a shit. But
no, you don't. Do you remember when we were floating on down the river and those girls threw glass bottles out of their tubes?
Yeah.
And you went over there and you were like, hey, and your tube went like right next to their tube, and you just like passed them like this, and you were like, you just like yeah.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
give a shit. I'll say I got a lot of I was given a mouth and a brain, and I'm not afraid to use them.
Yeah. I like that.
Thank you.
Cheers to that.
Yes, cheers to that. And I feel like you are the same way too. I've seen you.
Yeah. I think I'm comfortable around you and my friends, people I feel safe with. I'm definitely like that. And now I'm like that, but before I wasn't always.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like sometimes it's almost in society sometimes. It's almost like people don't want to give their opinion because whether it's they're scared or they don't care what other people's reactions are going to be, but it actually matters what people's opinions are. Like, I could go off on this for a minute about this being America and supposedly the freest country in the world and whatnot, and yet everybody just kind of sits back and doesn't talk about the things that are happening under our noses and blaming them on that we should be concerned about other things. But if people would just talk about it more, like give their opinions, like share that shit, post it, let us know, let everybody know, because that's the shit that actually matters.
Yeah.
And that's what gives me anxiety, I guess. One of the things too. I don't know if it's anxiety, but it just bugs the shit out of me. Like it seems like a lot of America has become just chill with being chill.
I think if it doesn't affect certain people specifically,
Yeah,
they
if
don't.
it doesn't affect you, then they don't give a shit. It's not
Right.
it's not affecting me.
And you and
But
I are the people we're like, well, this affects people, so it should matter. But most people are like, well, it doesn't affect me, so
it's a ripple effect.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, you don't give a shit. I mean, I don't want to go here, but I'm going to. I've preached a lot about this is just one issue, the transgender thing. Okay, you don't give a shit that this boy wants to be a girl and lives in Nebraska or Florida, any state or whatever that like they ban talk about it or anything like that. But it doesn't affect you at all until this is just a total figment or something that could happen, 20 years down the road. This person that nobody gave a shit about decides they've been depressed and anxious their entire lives, been shit on. All of their feelings are not allowed to be talked about in supposed to be safe spaces. So they go and grab a gun and shoot up a school, and your kid goes to that school and is killed. That's a ripple effect that now affected you. That's just the kind of shit that I think about.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I have so much I could say.
Yeah,
would,
I know, right?
I would
We could like you and I could talk for a very long time about a whole range of
podcast.
different subjects. I guarantee it. Podcast episode number 4, I think it would be.
I could go off about some gun laws right about now, but we won't go there right now. And yeah.
I mean that's a thing too. And I love guns. I've been around guns my entire life. My dad is a gun-toting Republican, red-blooded American Republican, and I love guns, love shooting them. I do believe in the Second Amendment,
Mm-hmm.
but there are times when if people are afraid to send their kids to schools, something's fucking got to be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
I could go on for a while about, but I won't.
yeah. Anyway, we'll move on. We'll save that for another episode.
Back for that one.
No, we'll come back to that.
Okay.
Get a list dog can be a regular guest.
That's right.
Do you think that like with your anxiety, you would come up with like certain scenarios with just kind of unrealistic outcomes, just kind of crazy mind altering thoughts?
Yeah. Honestly, speaking of like the gun stuff, when like a mass shooting would occur, I still work on this. Like I won't go in like a public space, or I wouldn't. I'm okay doing it now, but like that kind of stuff would scare me so bad that I was almost convinced that would happen to me. Like I said, my anxiety was like fearing death all the time. So yeah, I would be afraid to go like to the grocery store because I'm like, I'm gonna get shot. Like that's what my mind thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of my scenarios would be pretty intense. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that they could probably get a lot worse than that too.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel like I mean, obviously you know that like other people go through this stuff, but do you feel like your anxiety is like, I don't know, on a scale of mild to severe?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like yours is closer to mild, or do you think it's like closer to severe?
I would say now I'm good. Like I still have anxiety, but it's very manageable. When I first went into therapy, I got diagnosed with extreme anxiety disorder. So it was extreme. It was pretty
Was it
intense.
was it affecting your relationship with Sean?
Yes, 100%. And I will say, so that was hard because Sean he was the only person I felt safe with, and like truly safe, like in my body, safe in my atmosphere. And that's a lot to put on one person.
Yeah.
And also I would be
Probably
so,
gave him some anxiety too.
yeah, it definitely did. It definitely did. And a huge reason I went to therapy was because I wanted to be better for my relationship and for my husband. Like I mean, we were like in the first stages of getting married, like honeymoon phase, and I just wanted to be better for him too. So that was hard for sure, because it's not cool and sexy to be the girlfriend or partner that's like having panic attacks or doesn't want to go places in public, like that's not cool. But that's where I was at, and he fully just let me be. And healing has been really good. Like going through deep, intense therapy work and healing with your partner, though, is like very vulnerable. And I would say now we are better than, like, we just have a way deeper connection than I could have imagined because of that. But yeah, that's not easy. That's not easy.
Yeah. Well, Sean's like the chillest person I know, so you lucked out on that one.
I know. He's so grounded and laid back. And if we were both freaking out, oh my God. Like if we were both people that freak out, it would be so bad. But Sean, he's the best. You want to talk about Sean? Do you miss
We
him?
want to talk. I do miss Sean.
He's the best.
He's one of my best friends. And I always say one of my best friends because I have so many, but he's like top five, top five, top five.
Yeah. He's such a
So do you have any advice for any of the underdogs listening?
Yeah. I'll keep it simple. But I would say if you're dealing with anxiety to the point where, I mean, you may not even realize it, but if it's keeping you from living a normal life, or if it's ripping you away from these present moments, make sure you surround yourself with good, safe people. Get rid of toxic people in your life. Like that is just number one. If you feel like you would want to go to therapy, I think it's a great tool. I would also suggest getting off social media, but that's just me, or taking breaks from social media, because when you're in a really hard place, it's hard to see a highlight reel of everyone else's like best moments in life. So give yourself a break from it. I think that's healthy. And really, I would educate yourself on how your nervous system works, because that's vital for me.
Like what?
So your nervous system, basically, like kind of how I mentioned earlier, just different experiences we go through in life kind of teach us to protect ourselves in certain ways. Kind of like triggers or just things that you've experienced. Your body will be like, oh, this when this happens, Alyssa's in danger. And so you build up this like overprotection, and So kind of learning to regulate that and teach your body you're not in danger. Like you're not in survival, like you're going to the grocery store doesn't mean you're going to die. Like kind of regulating that function in your body is really important. Just learning how that works in general has helped me a lot. Because like if you go do something and you feel like rage, or like if something happens in your life, you're feeling really nervous and rage, like learning where those feelings come from and kind of how to regulate that, I think is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Meditation.
Meditation.
That's great for nerve. Yeah.
I don't meditate so much anymore. I mean, I meditate whenever I do yoga or do stretching, or whenever I go to the sauna. I'll just sit there and close my eyes.
Yeah.
But you mentioned if something happened in your life that's like, it's a trigger for you. I have been reading this book called Trading in the Zone, and it's a book. It's a trading book based on the psychological aspects of trading, because in trading, like trading is trading, and it has to deal with money, charts, and all that stuff. But the psychological aspect is one of the biggest reasons why people either succeed at it or quit. And it comes from your beliefs. But the book talks about how beliefs come from something that happened in your life at some point, whether you remember it or not, or whether it was positive or negative. And that belief is essentially energy that's created, and it's either negative or positive energy. And that energy, this is also like science, like Einstein, energy cannot be, you can't get rid of it. It can only be transferred or turned into something else. So like if, say, they use the example of a child being bitten by a dog a lot, whenever it was like a kid. And the very first instance that a kid had with a dog was it was bitten. And so this kid now has a belief, is ingrained in his brain and will be there forever, that dogs are dangerous. But then maybe later in life, it has an experience where it sees this kid sees a bunch of other kids playing with a dog, and that goes against his original belief that dogs are dangerous. So now it has another belief that maybe not all dogs are dangerous. And so now these two beliefs are kind of counteracting with each other. And whatever energy is stronger is what's going to surface later in life, whenever that same event presents itself. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you could say that with anything. It's just with a dog. It could be, being beaten by your dad, or being molested, or being picked on as a kid, anything like that. And so I think that is true. That just a lot of the things that we react to as adults can stem from things that have happened in our lives prior to that. Do you think that that's true?
Yeah, that kind of goes along with like what I was saying, how your body, the body keeps score. Your body remembers things your mind does not, and tries to protect you. Your body's job is to protect you. That's all it's trying to do. It just, because of certain things like him getting bit by the dog, his body learned, okay, if we stay away from dogs, or if every time he sees a dog, he feels that feeling, then it'll protect him. And he's just learning like with how he has a choice when he sees the kids playing with the dog and it's not so scary. If he leans into that, that's teaching his body, it's okay, you don't have to overprotect me. And that's like, yeah, that's what a lot of this work is. That lines up a lot with my beliefs. And yeah, that's like what a trigger is. It's crazy what your body holds on to, but I fully believe that for sure.
Yeah. Brain is a powerful thing. It can
It really,
literally build you up. It can make people write amazing stories or plays or invent crazy things that can save humanity, but at the same time, it can completely destroy you from the inside out.
mm-hmm. Yeah, it can. It really can. Your thoughts, man, thinking, it can be
Blows
great.
my mind, man.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the name of that book?
Trading in the Zone.
Trading in the Zone.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a trading book, but I mean, I've been reading it and studying it more so for like this kind of stuff than, I mean, like the trading thing too. Like with what it has to do with the trading is, so like you're looking at graphs and charts and stuff, right? And you're using different indicators and technical analysis, and say you make a trade by having some sort of setup, and then you win or you lose, and then let's just go with you lost. Or no, let's go with you won. And then that thing just that wins over and over again for a certain amount of time. But then all of a sudden you have this belief that like you're unstoppable, or like you're just a know-it-all. And then all of a sudden you lose a trade, and that just like kind of, it blows that belief that you were unstoppable out of the water, per se, kind of. And then all of a sudden, whenever you go to take that next trade, all that you can think about is losing. And so you don't take that trade. And then you look at the result, and you could have made money on that trade if you would have taken it. But that belief that came from you losing all of a sudden from that same setup that was winning, it made you think that like it put something in your brain that stopped you from going and executing that trade. So that's what it like is going towards, or is geared towards. But I can see it being relatable in all kinds of ways.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right, moving on. So we're moving on to one of my favorite subjects.
Same.
You and I have had some fun on some magic mushrooms back in the day.
Yeah.
Late at night, Columbine Drive. But you mentioned to me that you started microdosing, which I have also experimented with. Is that part of, well, first of all, for microdosing, who doesn't know what microdosing is, and you do know what magic mushrooms are. Microdosing is taking the psilocybin mushroom in very psilocybin. Isn't that what I said?
You said psilocybin.
Psilocybin. Oh, psilocybin. Dyslexia. Taking it in very small doses, regularly or on some sort of time frame, to alter your brain waves, essentially, to thinking differently.
Yeah.
And was used for a long time, or for a while, in mental therapy or psychological therapy for PTSD, anxiety, depression, all that kind of stuff. And then I think it was 1971 is whenever it became illegal and they stopped. And now it's becoming more widely used in certain states. Are you using the microdose through therapy? Like, is that prescribed, or are you just doing it on your own?
No, that's a Alyssa journey. I did not tell my therapist.
Nice.
Have
you ever asked her about that?
No, I did not. I chose not to bring that up because I just didn't know how she'd feel about it. She is a professional, so I just didn't. I know my beliefs behind it, but I don't know everybody's, and so I didn't involve her in that. That was more just me, my personal decision.
Well, tell us about it.
Well, so I struggle with overthinking. Like I said, my mind, and therapy has helped me a lot, but I still get caught up in my head sometimes. And I like to lean a holistic route with most medicine. It's my first route. I'm not shaming Western medicine or like prescription medicine at all, but I just like to try out something first that would be like a holistic, more natural. So I looked into microdosing, and I just read so many stories from people that, like, everyone said the same thing. Everybody was like, it changed my life. I was able to literally, like, if your mind's stuck in a cycle, they're like, I was able to like finish out the thought and it just left. And I was able to be present and just appreciate all the stuff around me and the beauty of life again. And so, and like you said, it is like, it reconnects like brain patterns. There's something in the brain, your default mode network is what it's called. And psilocybin is something that it can like reset that. And so nothing is like scientifically like proven with psilocybin, but there's doctors that are like, but like we've seen people experience this. So it was enough for me. I've done mushrooms before, like on a psychedelic level, and I wasn't afraid of them. I've always had really good experiences. You and I had a really, really fun experience where we made Denzel when he was sleeping on the couch, and we were like, you remember that? He's like,
you gotta stay awake.
Yeah, we're like, no, you'll throw off the whole atmosphere if you leave.
Yeah, you gotta stay on the couch.
So he slept on the couch the whole time. We did a light show. Do you remember that? Sebastian's lights.
Of course.
Anyway, that was
that's the fun side of that's the other side of magic mushrooms.
Yeah, well, I think because I had always had like such fun experiences that taking 1/10 of that didn't scare me, and I knew it would be very subtle. So I was like, well, let's just go for it. And I did, I would do 3 days on, 2 days off, 0.1 gram. I did that for a month, and now I just use it occasionally. But I had such a great experience with that. I felt like I remembered to enjoy life again. And because sometimes therapy can be really heavy and you like unpack a lot, but when you're microdosing, you're just kind of embracing like play and like being a little kid almost. So it was like that part of me came back where I just got to be fun and light, and I've had a great experience.
0.1 of a gram.
Sometimes, so yeah.
Would you feel any effects of the psychedelic side of it with that amount, or was it just nothing at all?
I would feel like a little energized, like a little jolt kind of kick in when it's like happening. And the trees seem a little brighter, but nothing like a mushroom, experience.
Mm-hmm.
Noticed that I thought differently more than anything. But yeah.
Whenever I still have some and I still take it every once in a while, but the amount that I was taking was like I had these little spoons. It was like 0.5 of a milligram or 0.25 of a milligram. So it was like super small doses. Like I wouldn't feel anything at all besides maybe thinking a little bit differently that day or something.
Right.
And
Yeah.
honestly, like I didn't know how to take it. Where did you get your mushrooms from? This the street?
I went to the streets. I have a very lovely trusted source. It's actually, I don't want to whatever. There's this girl on a Netflix movie. Have you seen Dumplin' with Jennifer Aniston?
No.
Well, Sean recently told me there's like a lady on this Netflix movie, and that's who I get my mushrooms from. But, and she's very lovely and she's very intentional with growing. But he worked with a guy who knew her. So I kind of I have a trusted source, and I like crush them up, put them in little capsules, and I'll just like take a little pill.
Nice.
Measure them out so it's not too much, not too less.
Right on. I ordered mine from a website online in Canada.
Well, they're legal in Colorado, right?
It's decriminalized in, I don't even know if it's all of Colorado or if it's just Denver. I'm not really sure what the legalities are, but I know that they are making a way back into psychological therapies.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm
One, I think that it helped me in the first or in the second episode. I go into that whenever I feel like my brain started thinking in a whole different way with just like my career and the direction of my life that I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Like, and I owe that, I think, to at least a little bit to microdosing. I didn't do anything else different. So
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer in mushrooms. I love mushrooms, legal and the magic kind. And I'm just used to saying legal and not legal thing because for my entire life they were not legal, and now they're making a way back. So I don't even know how I'm supposed to describe them anymore.
I know. I think, I don't know if I will. I haven't had like a tripping experience in years, and probably no, not. I've probably tripped since our experience, but I'm gonna stick to microdosing for now because it's way more manageable, and there's no like come down. Like the next day you don't feel any different.
Yeah, I feel like whenever you actually trip on mushrooms, like your brain just goes through so much in a night, and in a few hours, like your brain is just like toasted in the morning.
Yeah.
But all great experiences. Have you ever had a bad trip?
Yes.
Yeah. How many times?
I've had 2 really bad trips, but
I had one time, and that was because it was just a bad environment. I think it was like it was a weird. All my friends were there, and then my girlfriend was there. My girlfriend at the time, but that was whenever I was like 19, and she was older than I was, and she was being shady, so that was fucking with me. But other than that, I've never really had a bad trip. I've always been able to. I feel like I've always had a pretty strong mind.
Yeah.
Where if I was tripping and a bad thought came into my head or I started freaking out at all, I was able to just be like, all right, Devin, like you're just on drugs. Like everything is all good. And then I'd like look at some lights or something like that and then be like, all right, we're groovy.
Yeah. And it's not like it's a quicker trip. So you know you're gonna come out of it soon rather than like other psychedelics that last hours. Mushrooms is like kind of on the lower end of that.
Yeah.
I had an experience. I went to Moab with, do you remember Rachel Von Cannon?
Mm-hmm.
And went with Chelsea and their friend Meredith, and we went to Moab and we decided mushrooms and go on a hike. And we went on a hike that was like in the middle of summer, completely exposed during this, like down this like dirt road, and no one was around us. And we're just like tripping and walking around, and out of nowhere, this like, you know how they have those like ATVs that people drive?
Yeah.
It pulled up and everyone ran except me. I don't know why. But everybody
Were
just
you like in the headlights?
yeah, I'm
or
like,
was it just nearby?
and this couple got out and I look around and I'm like, what? Where are my friends? And they were like, can you take a picture of us? And it was like the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I was like, have you seen my friends? Like, and I remember I took a picture of them and the camera was probably facing me. Like I was like, where are you guys from? And they're like, Carbondale. And as soon as I said Carbondale, Rachel was like, Carbondale. And Chelsea was Carbondale.
Just
And
comes out of the dark.
they're like, oh, we love Carbondale. And I was like, what? It was that's the worst thing that you can do on mushrooms is have a couple come out of the desert, out of nowhere, and ask you to take a photo of them.
Because they totally knew that you were on mushrooms. Like,
Yeah.
oh, here's a random person, a random girl all by herself in the dark. Hey, can you take our picture? They're probably on mushrooms too, except just on a whole different level than you were, because they were in a 4x4.
Yeah, they probably were just
Like,
messing.
oh, there's a random girl.
There's a random girl alone. Let's not ask if she needs help. Let's ask her to take a
Can you take our picture?
Can you take a picture of us? Thank you, and we'll be on our way. Yeah.
All right, thanks. See you later. That's funny.
I want to know how that photo turned out.
Yeah, right.
It's probably me.
It's one of the, yeah, right. Just like your face.
This is my face. Yeah.
All right. Well, one more thing that I wanted to talk about before we leave, and that was more mushrooms, but I just kind of wanted to promote this, I guess, because I do love mushrooms, and these are not sponsors, so full disclaimer. But my buddy told me about what's that?
Not yet.
Not yet. Hit me up, first person. My buddy told me about these supplements that he was taking, and it's through a company called First Person. And it's just mushrooms, but they've come up with, have you ever seen, oh man, what's that movie called where he takes that one pill and it makes his brain
Limitless.
Limitless, yeah. It looks like those pills, they're all like colorful little beads and stuff, but they're all legal mushrooms. I have a list. One of them is called Sunbeam, and I took that for a while, and it's kind of just supposed to like help with like concentration and overall good mood throughout the day. Yeah, that's called Sunbeam, and that has lion's mane, so cordyceps, Panax, 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 and ginseng. Whenever I was taking that stuff, I don't know, I felt good. You can take these things with microdoses too. They recommend as well. Then they have one called Golden Hour, and that's supposed to be like whenever you really want to connect with somebody, like in a conversation. So I feel like this would be perfect for situations like this. And that has a reishi mushroom, Afron or saffron, and Bacopa Monterey. I should have researched the words on how to say them before I started talking about it.
Right.
And then they have one more called Moonlight, which is supposed to help with restorative sleep. And that's with a reishi mushroom, passion flower, and holy basil.
It sounds so good.
I know. I haven't tried the Golden Hour or the Moonlight yet. But like I said, I'm a huge fan of mushrooms. The lion's mane, I know, helps with concentration a lot. And I think that regular supplementation of those type of mushrooms can help with our brain health and overall mood in general, just in our daily lives. And just healthy diet as well.
Yeah. I love
Do you feel like you eat pretty healthy?
Yeah, I'm gluten-free.
Oh yeah. That's not by choice though.
No, but it helps me to eat healthy because I go out and get things easily, so I have to cook everything.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you look healthy.
Thank you. You look healthy, but you always looked healthy.
Thanks. I like to take care of my body, but like Jenny has said also, with me and my bad habits, I'm so adamant on like being healthy and shit, but then I drink, I smoke, I vape, I use the nicotine pouches. So like I said, I can build. I like to think of it as long as I continue to stay healthy and keep my body in good shape, then whenever I treat myself with such things as beers and vapes, I also do breathing exercises too.
That's good.
I feel like I'm keeping a healthy balance.
Yes, but microdosing really helps with weaning off nicotine.
I haven't tried it in that aspect yet. That drug is sometimes I feel like worse than others.
It's hard.
It's also feel like it's a lot of my head.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, anything that kind of feels like a calming habit is a hard thing to break, But yeah, day by day, we all have vices. I love cheese dip.
I love cheese dip too.
I won't ever give that, ever.
I don't know who doesn't like cheese dip. I guess if you probably, even if you are lactose intolerant, you probably still like cheese dip. You're just not allowed to eat it, or else you can eat it. Then you just might have to go to the bathroom for like 2 hours afterwards.
Worth it.
So worth it.
So worth it.
That cheese mountain was so worth it after spending 5 hours in the bathroom.
It would be. You just got to really make it count.
Yeah. Treat yourself. Treat yourself, underdogs. You gotta, like, sometimes we get so much in the grind of life and, surviving and trying to stay mentally healthy and stuff. You do got to treat yourself every once in a while. Just don't do it in the wrong ways, I guess.
Yes.
And that's all relative as well. Wrong ways.
Yeah. Don't forget to have fun.
Yeah.
Like, allow yourself to have.
life is only so long or so short.
Yeah, it's not guaranteed.
And it's not guaranteed.
No.
All right. Well, that's all the questions that I have for you, Alyssa. Do you have anything that you want to add or any other questions you might have for me? And actually, I do have a couple other questions that I have for everybody, every guest that comes on. But you first.
Well, I just kind of wanted to ask about your podcast real quick. Just, do you have like an idea of where you kind of want this to go, or do you have certain ideas for episodes that are just like in your head that you've already come up with? Or yeah, what's your idea with that?
My first idea, I come up with new ideas all the time, but it was to build off of like this first episode that wasn't about me. But it's also hard to come up with new guests every week. I'm going on vacation on Friday, going to South Africa for 2 weeks, and I would like to have to post something while I'm in Africa, but my plan is to have episodes throughout the week by myself on like short little ideas or subjects on how we can make our day better or just change it up a little bit just for ourselves. Like sometimes we just do the same thing over and over every single day. Like listening or communication or yeah, I don't want to go into any spoilers, but yeah, I would like to have at least one episode a week with a guest where we sit down like this and have a conversation, but then I'll also have other episodes that won't be quite as long and drawn out as these by myself. And yeah, kind of see where we go from there.
And you're gonna have virtual guests still?
Just yeah, virtual guests, or if anybody's in town, have them come over. And then here in my studio.
Studio looks so nice and professional.
Thanks. I worked hard on it.
Looks good.
It's just our spare bedroom, but yeah, it's coming along.
This is exciting.
I know. Very exciting.
Where can people watch and listen to you?
You can watch on Spotify. I have a YouTube channel. I'll have all of my social medias listed in the show notes. And if anybody wants to get a hold of me, you can do so through the social medias. I'll also have my email in there. And I eventually will be starting a website with a blog that I will post in after every episode. And or at least every episode with somebody else to talk about my thoughts and feelings on what the conversation or how the conversation went. And then I encourage everybody to log into the blog or subscribe and participate, because I'm aiming to build a community of people that want to talk about this type of stuff because it's important and everybody goes through it and it's not talked about enough, I don't think.
Yeah. Normalize it.
Normalize talking about mental wellness and awareness.
Yes. Love it. That's a lot. You're doing a lot.
I've taken on quite a thing here.
Yeah.
But I love it. I'm passionate about it and I think about it all the time. So
I love it. That's why I wanted to be on it when you told me, because I fully support this. I think this is awesome. And yeah, I was like, I want I want to be on it.
Well, you are. You're an official underdog now, List Dog. You're the very first one, too.
Yeah. If
So
you ain't
thank
first,
you.
you're last.
You ain't first, you're last.
Yeah.
That don't make no sense. There's second, there's third. Hell, you could even be fourth. All right. Well, Alyssa, thank you so much for coming on and opening yourself up to the public and all of the people listening. It's not easy to do. Takes a lot of bravery and courage to do that. And so thank you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. You're very good at starting conversation and keeping it going and asking questions. Very good at it.
I appreciate it. Means a lot.
Yeah.
All right.
Underdog.
Yeah. Thanks for joining, everybody. Catch us next time for the next episode. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like and share with your friends and family so that everybody can become an underdog and we can all learn and grow together. All right, Alyssa, oh yes, I'm sorry. Let me get 2 questions real quick. Biggie or Tupac?
Oh, Biggie.
Biggie. Me too, Biggie.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that you want to do before you die?
Have a child.
Have a child? Hell yeah.
Yeah. I want to be a mom before I die.
A little Sean or a little Liz.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. That's that, everybody. We'll catch you later. Underdogs out. Well, guys, that's the end of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really want everyone's story to be heard. I want to hear your story. It's important so that we can all come together as a community and serve a common purpose, and that is to live a happy and prosperous life, I think. So please join us next time, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on another episode, and like and share with all of your friends and family. If you or you know of anybody that has an awesome story that needs to be told and you have the courage to come on and tell it to the public and all the other underdogs, then all of my contact information and socials are going to be listed in the show notes, so please don't hesitate to get at me. I want to hear from all of you. That's it. I'll catch y'all next time. DevDog out. Much love.